Republican bullies who continue to further rig the economy or wreck the planet and violate human rights, they're still being confronted by citizens in public who are dissatisfied with their ongoing shilling. Because you can only shit on a population and ignore a population so much to where they just become so fed up that when there's no justice, there's no peace. And just because you clocked out of your job at the White House or a government agency doesn't mean that you get to get away with the shit that you did at work. No, it doesn't matter if you're off the clock and on your own time. You're going to be confronted if your policies are harmful to Americans. Now, the latest individual to be confronted is EPA head Scott Pruitt, who was approached by a citizen that told him he needs to resign.
Hi, I just wanted to urge you to resign because of what you're doing to the environment in our country. This is my son. He loves animals. He loves clean air. He loves clean water. Meanwhile, you're slashing strong fuel standards for cars and trucks for the benefits of big corporations. You've been paying about $50 a night to stay in a DC condo that's connected to an energy lobbying firm while approving their dirty sands pipeline. We deserve to have somebody at the EPA who actually does protect our environment, somebody who believes in climate change and takes it seriously for the benefit of all of us, including our children. So I would urge you to resign before your scandals push you out.
I love that. That was absolutely amazing. Now, after she told him that he needs to resign before one of his scandals pushes him out, there were a few seconds to where she just looked right into his soul, and you can tell that he probably died a little inside there because he was so uncomfortable. And in fact, he was so uncomfortable that as soon as before she could even get back to her table, she says that him and his cronies fled. If you hold them to even the most minimal amount of scrutiny, well, under any pressure, they fold because they don't want to face the public, because deep down they know that what they're doing is harmful, and they don't want to be confronted by their victims because maybe it reminds them just how shitty of people they are.
Bitch.
Now, Scott Pruitt wasn't the only Republican thug that was confronted by civilians this week, because Mitch McConnell was also confronted by individuals who just aren't happy with the administration's zero-tolerance policy, and this is what they had to say.
Why are you separating families? Huh? Why are you separating families? Why are you separating families?
Why did you leave my husband alone?
Why are you separating families?
Why did you leave my husband alone?
I'm not trying to disrespect you, but why is he separating families?
He's not.
I'm not trying to
separating.
I'm not trying to
He's
disrespect you.
not
He's separating families. He's separating families.
You did
No. How does he sleep at night? How does he sleep at night? It is not a legal assignment. How does he sleep at night? It is not legal.
Now, I love that as well, and the response from Mitch McConnell's wife was amazing, because you could tell she was just so angry, like, how dare these peasants confront my husband, who is the Senate Majority Leader. Lady, your husband is an asshole who's ruined countless lives, and you're also complicit in that because you actually work for Donald Trump's administration. Now, is it the case that Mitch McConnell is not directly responsible for Donald Trump's zero-tolerance policy? Of course, because it's Donald Trump who directed his Department of Justice to carry out this zero-tolerance policy. However, with that being said, Mitch McConnell is the Senate Majority Leader. He's in a uniquely powerful position to actually stop this if he wanted to. But he's not. He's complicit with it. He can get enough votes from his caucus to do a more humane form of immigration, or, implement a policy that wouldn't destroy families or wouldn't put people in cages. But he likes doing it. These people are disgusting. It's not just that they're corrupt like the Democratic Party. These are people who are sociopaths. They don't care about human suffering. They have no empathy whatsoever. So I love that, citizens all over this country are still confronting public officials and Republicans. They deserve it. I mean, I get that some people feel uncomfortable with, confronting people, in their private lives. But look, if they're not going to listen, this is a very effective way to get their attention. They don't like being disturbed when they're off the clock, when they're private citizens, but the fact remains that they're implementing policies that are ruining the planet, rigging the economy, fucking up people's lives literally. So we're not just going to, give you a pass if you're out with your family at a restaurant. No, we're going to confront you. And this is going to continue to happen until you start representing the people. But we all know that that's unfathomable for the Republican Party. They've just got to collapse. It's time for Democrats to be the new right-wing party and for a new left-wing progressive party to emerge. Because when you compare the Republican Party to other right-wing parties in Europe, for example, well, they're more akin to these fringe right-wing extremist parties who are xenophobic, who are nationalistic, than mainstream conservative parties in Europe. They're not like Christian Democrats. That's absurd. This party is too far gone. They can't be redeemed. They're past redemption, in fact, and they've just got to collapse.
Support this podcast by becoming a patron at patreon.com/Humanist Report.